Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Shrimp Tank. I'm your co-host, Ted Jenkin, here with my co-host, Lee Heisman. And of course, today we'll bring in our guest in just a second, Mark Venables. He is the CEO of the Crypto Merchant. We're going to talk a little bit today about maybe demystifying and humanizing this whole crypto world. And Lee, with everything going on with the Sam Bankman-Fried trial, that's what I call it now, not the Sam Bankman-Fried trial. A lot of people want to know and are still wondering, what the heck is crypto? Is it real? Is it not? What's it going to be in the future? There's still so much information swirling about this. It not only makes talking about his business today very timely, but just that whole topic as a whole, as it relates to commerce and trade for all business owners around the world. Of course, every week, folks, on the Shrimp Tank, we bring you some of the brightest and best CEOs, entrepreneurs, and business owners who are starting businesses, scaling businesses. Maybe they've exited a few businesses, and we just love having this conversation because we believe, and Lee and I have for many years now, building 14 cities and thousands of podcasts, talking to entrepreneurs about this around getting a combination of street smarts and book smarts. For those of you that are tuning into the broadcast for the first time, really recommend that you go to the Shrimp Tank podcast on YouTube. Recommend that you click the subscribe button. That way you get all the videos, including the short form videos that we do with a lot of our entrepreneurs, and hit the notifications bell so you can get that in your mailbox. If you want to listen to the podcast, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, or anywhere on the internet. Mark, thanks so much for joining us today. And I guess I'll start off with the way that I tease this off. You know, something that's front and center for a lot of people now is this whole trial that's happening with Sam Bankman-Fried. And what I'm curious about in general, maybe you can demystify this at a simple level. The cryptocurrency is real. It's just that this guy just committed real fraud, right? You know, it's not that crypto isn't real. It's just that this was real fraud.
It's a shame. But, it's going to be well publicized because a lot of the larger institutions aren't big fans of crypto, because they've probably not monetized it as well as they could as yet. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's just a bad apple in a big company, and a lot of power to be taken advantage of. So obviously that's what we got to battle. And like I say, it's going to be well publicized. We go back in history, there's always these sort of things happening with big institutions, especially when it involves a lot of money.
Are you able to tell people just at the start in here, for a lot of people that hear Bitcoin and still are wondering to themselves, what is Bitcoin? Is this something I should have money in or not? I see it go up to almost $70,000 for a Bitcoin. Then it goes way down. And, now I think it's hovering around $30,000 and change. Is this an asset that's here to stay? Is it something people will be using in the future?
So, I mean, it is here to stay. And initially it wasn't invented as an investment vehicle, but of course it is now, very much so. A lot of people, everyone has their own opinion. If I was to advise anyone, which I generally don't, but I would say, as an investment, just continue to buy small amounts on a weekly or monthly basis. So you're going to be buying when it's high, you're going to be buying when it's low. But in X amount of years, your cost average is going to be very favorable, because Bitcoin, from a currency standpoint, is very cyclical. We have the extreme bull runs, then it crashes, then it goes sideways, and then we go back into a bull run, which is, in my opinion, probably 2024. Some people think late 24, even 25. But if you look at the charts and that sort of thing, which I'm not a trader, so I generally don't. But generally, when you come to the halving of Bitcoin, is when you see the bull run start, and all the other assets or currencies, follow suit. but I certainly think it's here to stay. And there's real world uses for
So
crypto.
when it comes to cryptocurrency, I'm wondering if we could just start, and can you help our listeners, our watchers today, our viewers understand the difference between holding cryptocurrency in an online account and holding cryptocurrency in what some people call to be a wallet or cold storage or whatever it may be? Would you be able to talk about the difference?
Yeah, I mean, you've got hot wallets and cold wallets or hard wallets. And one of the things I specialize in is selling authorized resellers of cold wallets or hard wallets. So basically, the hot means online, essentially cold means offline. And this is to take your assets, whatever they might be, digital assets, offline. And we see, I mean, I speak to people with an eye-watering amount of money in crypto that don't have a cold wallet. But once it's taken offline, it's no longer vulnerable. Whenever it's on an exchange, it's vulnerable. And these exchanges will continue to enhance security, but we're always going to have those people that are reverse engineering that to gain access and to take your assets, whatever they might be. So a cold wallet is simply a hardware device, relatively inexpensive, but can save you an utter fortune from losing your life savings. And if you happen to put it in crypto, which again, not recommended, but I mean that's basically you take the cold wallet and you put your crypto on there. I mean, technically, you're not actually putting crypto on there; you're storing keys. The crypto remains on the blockchain, but if that exchange disappears for whatever reason, you can go to another exchange and you can basically recover your assets. So it's very, very wise to do this. And even the exchanges use cold wallets because they don't necessarily need the billions of dollars in crypto that they perhaps manage. It's not needed to be accessible all the time. There's only a finite amount that needs to be accessible for trading, for people making withdrawals.
And it's interesting, Mark. I wanted to say, and we're going to get into it and give you time at the end to talk about the cryptomerchant.com. But when you look, other than these, as you said, a nominal amount of money for the value of what they have on it, you have the most sleek looking products on your website, right? I mean, the most amazing looking products, from the ballet to the crypto steel to the material bit. I mean, it looks amazing, number one. Number two, and I'll get into that, and I understand the cold versus the hot. I'm sure with the Sam Bankman, as Ted says, fraud situation that came up, Mark, that had to help your business, because people that, and just to be clear for our listeners, people that owned crypto on that, I think FTX, is that's correct. People that owned crypto on FTX, they owned it at that moment. Now, obviously, could they have gotten it off? But if they put it on a cold wallet after they purchased it, they would be safe. Is that accurate?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the FTX collapse had far more impact than the Friedman case, because FTX actually went down. And oddly enough, I actually got caught myself with a company called BlockFi, because I had a small amount of crypto in BlockFi who got into financial difficulties, and FTX came to their rescue. And of course, we know how that ended. And there I am, surrounded by several thousand cold wallets, not taking my own advice. And, it's a little embarrassing. And so I have $5,000 of crypto that I can't access, and it's been 2 or 3 years now, and I finally kind of got some back, and I've got to wait another 90 days to see if I can to get the rest. And so, I mean, what a life lesson. It really is important to use these devices if you have them, of which I have many and didn't use them, because it didn't seem like an awful lot of money, or the chances of it happening seem so remote, because it never happens to us, does it? It always happens to someone in a country that isn't quite as advanced as us, or something along those lines. But when it does, it happens quickly. And And there's, by the time us little people know, the retail investors or the retail traders and that sort of thing, it's too late. I mean, you're going to have thousands of people who are going to be trying to make withdrawals once they get wind of it. And of course, we're going to be the last people to know. I mean, it happened before Canadian Exchange. I don't know if you've seen the movie Trust No One on Netflix. It's about the whole creating an exchange, and basically the guy disappeared and passed away, and no one had the passwords, oddly enough. You know, he didn't write them anywhere apparently. So
Mark, that's kind of become my life's motto: trust no one. That's I feel like that's what it is. You know, listen, I'm curious on this model in here. Do you make your money off the hardware? Like, do you have to carry a lot of inventory and then the margins in your business, or is there a software or transaction component to this business?
No. So you have. I actually carry a lot of inventory. I've got a very secure office here in Daytona Beach. So we carry the inventory because I like to basically look after our customers. So I like to get it to them quickly. We're authorized by one of the main pieces of advice you will hear. Often you'll hear, never buy from anyone other than the manufacturer. But whilst I echo that to a degree, you never buy from anyone other than the manufacturer or an authorized retailer, because there could be malware. It's possible that it's not even a real Ledger or Trezor or Securex, but if it's not come from someone that's authorized, then it could be tampered with, and we take that very seriously, because if we lose the authorization to retail these things, then people won't buy from us. So we do stick to the rules quite stringently. But it is a business where I do have a lot of money in stock. There are alternatives to be an affiliate where you can advertise these and it will take you back to the manufacturers, and you'll make a percentage and that sort of thing. But to be fair, the margins on these products are a lot less than you would see on other sort of electronic consumables. But you know, when it's good, it's good. When it's not, it's not. Well, there's a direct correlation to my sales in the crypto market, believe me. And again, that happens very quick as well.
Mark, to this point, you know, everybody now understands the value, or if you've been involved in it, if they want to get back into crypto, they understand the value of a cold wallet because of the losses and all of the nightmare that's happened. But talk a little bit about the realistic nature of, you know, it's still a piece of hardware now you can't lose. You know, I've heard horror stories where someone this is well before the cold wallet, they just had their information on a hard drive, and it's in some, you know, there's 10, 20, $30 million of Bitcoin from 8 years ago sitting on a hard drive in a dumpster site somewhere. You know, talk about that, what you know, and then talk about the risk of this unless you keep it like a diamond or a jewel.
So again, and it's a bit of a myth there, because once you use the wallet, there's a risk of it being stolen, losing it. So you keep a seed phrase, and people write them on a piece of paper, or they keep them online, which of course defeats the object of having a seed phrase if it's online, because it's accessible. And so we have seed phrase backup devices, which I've always said arguably are more important than the cold wallet, because if you have this, if you have your seed phrase and it's not written on a piece of paper, because paper isn't very waterproof or fireproof, so we have these devices that are made out of titanium, and your seed phrase is coded on there. Now that you can keep in a safe, they're waterproof, fireproof, dustproof. It will always be there. So if you do lose your cold wallet, or it's destroyed or stolen, as long as you have your seed phrase, then you can still retrieve your assets.
Wasn't there a guy though in San Francisco that, because he put like a mnemonic code in there or something like that, he was like on his 9th try of 10 tries, and at 10 tries you get locked out permanently, and he had like $1 million in his hard wallet? Is that really true? That can happen?
I don't think it can now. There's a lot of sort of old wives' tales, if you like, and stories that get embellished. There are, from some of the older products and almost homemade products, there was at least someone that is waiting for someone to come up with the technology that can crack his 128-bit code or whatever it is. So he's got like 2 tries left, and so it's just you just wait 20 years until someone invents something that can crack it, which I think is a pretty sensible thing to do given the amount that's on this device, and I have no idea what sort of device it is. But it's just not that I'm aware of is that going to happen, because if your seed phrase is on a physical piece of titanium, which would be coded, they all work in different ways, but as long as you have that, then if you did have 10 tries on a cold wallet, then you'd throw it in the trash and you'd get another one, and you still got your seed phrase to have another 10 tries, because all this is it's keys to get you through to the blockchain, which is where your crypto is, which is the whole idea of it being decentralized, and not having the banks or anyone else in charge of it. So it is in the ether, so to speak, but so is fiat most of the time. It's just numbers being moved around from bank to bank. No one's actually sending bricks of $100 bills when they transfer $100,000, and it's much the same with crypto, except for if you lose your sterling or your dollar or your euro, then it's gone if someone gets it fraudulently, and which of course is the same for crypto, but you don't have this safeguard without taking it out of the bank and putting it in a safe. You don't quite have the safeguard that crypto does, that I'm aware of.
And Mark, do you, real quick for our listeners as well, as right before all of this mess that recently happened, they were starting to really buckle down on regulations. If I'm accurate, in terms of accessing Coinbase. And I know for years ago, I was never really being questioned about my taxes, and they really never brought crypto in. But this past year, it's like, oh, give me your credentials for Coinbase, for Kraken, and these sites now have taxable products that put together what your losses were, what your gains were. There's a couple layers. Ted and I had the fortune, I'm only saying this for you, to get into the Ohm, the Olympus, you had to go through many layers to buy
MetaMask
Ohm,
and all that stuff.
You have to get into a MetaMask and move over here and do a sushi swap and move this over here. And it was fun, Mark, to feel like you were so unique buying Olympus for the Ohms and a few of the other ones. And then having to extract all that and unravel that was also more complex. That one is laughable when my accountants ask me, so what would you make a lot? No, there's really no way to monitor, to show that. What is your thought, Mark, about the future and regulation, especially here in the States?
Well, okay, so I think things need to be regulated because, but in a positive way. If it's regulated in a negative way, it will move the market down or have the potential to move the market down. But the issue with just talking about the regulations in the US is that crypto is worldwide, and you want global regulation, really, because that will give the large institutions that operate in many countries, they're having to spend infinite time and money on trying to comply with all these different regulations from different countries. Now, regulating it in a positive way will give crypto credence, and it will give confidence to trusts or banks to adopt it. And it would also give us little people, the retail trader, give us some protection as well. So it can't be a bad thing. Definitely needs some regulation, and some are more stringent than others. I know in the UK, I think Binance is just not taking on any new clients because of the way they've advertised. And in the UK, you have to have a governing body check the way you're advertising this for the general public. And whilst they were compliant, the governing body was then not a governing body, so then they automatically became non-compliant, and so they're having to go to this other third party, and it's very convoluted. But that's just two different countries and one company. So global regulation would be ideal, but we know how slow things move and how everyone would have to cooperate, and it seems, well, to me, it certainly seems an impossible task at the moment. So sure, we got to start somewhere, but I often think, well, where is crypto? Because if you're based here and you withdraw, you trade, or anything like that, then you pay your taxes here. I think it's kind of taxed a little unfairly to a degree, because it's kind of taxed as an investment vehicle. But no, I pay my suppliers, because we're all in the crypto space. I pay suppliers. So how does one get taxed if I buy a Bitcoin, which I can buy X units for, but next week Bitcoin's worth more, so I can buy more units? Did I make a profit because I'm buying more units? And that's okay. That's probably overcomplicating things slightly, but there are actually a couple of good services that I know that you connect your accounts to, your Coinbase, your Binance, and it will give you at the end of the year, it will give you a report that a CPA can use and for your taxes, which is because it is quite complicated, and because most accountants probably aren't used to dealing with with crypto. It's so new. These services are available that do analyze your accounts and spit out a nice report for a CPA or your accountant for your tax affairs. It just gets a bit complicated when you're going from country to country. The UK considers, depending on how you've set up, the UK considers crypto trading almost like gambling, and therefore it's not taxable. But it's how you set up from the beginning. It's like forex trading or day trading, that sort of thing.
Mark, the other side of this in this whole kind of crypto-ish world is that there are a lot of people. I raised my hand. Yours truly did it as well. I went on a DraftKings and I bought a couple of NFTs. I think I got a Tiger Woods, I got a Tom Brady, and maybe somebody else. But all those things are really seem like they have no value today. Is that NFT world? Can people expect that any of that's going to ever be worth anything, or do you have any perspective on that, being in that whole crypto world?
Fortunately, I didn't really get into the NFT stuff too much. I made some alternative investments, which was to buy a small part of some of the really expensive CryptoPunk type NFTs, and it's probably worth 10% of what it was. But there's a lot of speculation that NFTs will probably come back faster and sooner than the crypto. So because I never really taken the time to really learn a lot about NFTs, it's difficult for me to comment other than what I've been reading recently, that NFTs will probably make quite the comeback. But I mean, who's to say? I think there's going to be value there again. I just think that it was so overhyped to begin with, and people buying these. I remember someone buying one for like 2 million and put it in an auction and wanted to get 4 million, and I think the highest bid he got was 4,000. So that's quite the downturn, quite the loss. But yeah, sure. NFT is just very odd to me. They're tough to really get your head around. Crypto's bad enough, but NFTs to me are just. But
I'm sorry.
There are cold wallets that cater for NFTs in a very nice way. So they're not just bits of code. You can actually, there's a device called the SecureX Nifty. So you have your NFTs, and it has a screen. It will display your NFTs, so you can show them off to your friends or whatever. And they're not just a bit of code in a cold wallet that is going to either appreciate or depreciate. They're actually built for the NFT market. So, and there's other ones as well that they're quite clever if that's what you're into. Because I mean, the risk of losing them is very much the same. The digital assets at the end of the day, not worth as much as they were, quite. But yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Well, Mark, your product and your website, I mean, like I said, it completely solves the issue that happened where people lost on a bad exchange, right? And when the exchange closes, your wallets are the perfect antidote for that issue. You being the expert, and I know we're wrapping up our time, what recommendations do you have for entrepreneurs or listeners out there that heard about the whole crypto phase, maybe weren't a part of it in the first go around? I love what you said earlier about kind of just throwing a little bit in all the time. Where do you see the future of crypto, and what should people be doing to keep their eye on it, and maybe to get a little piece of it for the, as you said, what might be a great 2024?
So, I mean, generally, I have a fairly high risk tolerance, but you always need a plan, and you always need a certain amount that you're going to invest or trade, and you only ever invest or trade a small percent. You decide you're never going to invest more than 5% at any one time or trade. Then you're never going to lose more than 5% of the value of your portfolio. But people have to realize that a cold wallet is not going to protect you against a currency going from $100 down to $3. It's going to stop you from losing it. But we don't want people to think that it's going to, the value remains the same. It's just shielded. So I think I generally stick with currencies, tokens, whatever your preferred name is. I generally stick with the big boys like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and there's certain currencies that they have real world uses, and a lot of the other currencies is just like going to a casino. By time you've heard about how wonderful this currency is,
Right.
because it's just been pumped, and when you buy it, that's when the guys making millions are selling it. So
Did you say Dogecoin?
no, I didn't.
I'm kidding. With the Doge or the Shiba Inu or whatever Elon did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so you can. They're fun. And if you want to turn $1 into $1,000, it's possible. It's unlikely, but then you can go to the Hard Rock Casino and turn $1 into 100,000. It's unlikely.
And if you're playing poker, you have a little more control. At least you feel like you have a little more control. And I'll tell you, Mark, I remember when it started in the craze, and I know we're wrapping up, and I want people to know where to get in touch with you. But I remember what I heard from so many people. The craze early on was, I get to buy, sell, I get to trade crypto 24/7. It wasn't like a stock market where you had to obviously learn the market, but you could go in on your phone and you could trade and buy and sell all day, all night, any hour of the day. So it was very intoxicating, of course. That's definitely not what you recommend. But what we do recommend is to avoid a Sam Bankman fraud situation. If you do buy crypto, getting a cold wallet. And Mark, how would people utilize your services? What's the best way to get in touch with you, get onto your website?
Yeah, literally go to thecryptomerchant.com, or if you happen to be watching this in South America, it's thecryptomerchantsa.com. And we now have the largest choice of self-custody devices on the planet, I believe. And it is just, a lot of it is going there, and you want to check the usability. Some people are more technical than others. I'm not particularly technical. They're not difficult to use, but they're certainly, as I always say, common sense and cold wallets. That's how I approach the market.
I like it. Well, I'll tell you this much. I'm going to go on, for our viewers out there, I'm going to buy a Crypto Steel capsule quintet. Just because
Nice.
No, I am. Mark, I'm loving the way this looks. I'm going to, even if I put $1 of Bitcoin or any fun coin that I used to have on there, I want to walk around with as a conversation piece, because that's the coolest looking thing I've seen. And someone can say, "What is that?" And I'll say, "That's a Crypto Steel capsule, and that's where I hold my crypto." And they might think I have $1 million in it, but I only have, whatever I choose to put on there, Mark. I think that's a great conversation piece. I love the way that looks. Well, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today. Listen, for our viewers out there, go to the website. Obviously, thecryptomerchant.com. I love the products. Don't make a mistake. Do not keep a hot wallet online. We've already seen all of the problems there. Make sure you take your crypto. If you do start to invest, use some of these products. Mark, and if people want to reach out to you directly, can they connect with you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn, or they can email me directly. We'll soon be launching the UK site, so that I mean, we're available to sell in the UK, but I like to have somewhere that's local that has inventory, and again, cut down on customs and shipping and that sort of thing. So
Wonderful.
you can certainly find me on LinkedIn, find us on Facebook, TikTok, and pretty much all the social media places that people go. And we have, if you do get stuck, we do have tech support, which is quite rare, but we have tech support if you get stuck with any of the.
And quite necessary, Mark, because it can get complex and challenging. So that's even wonderful to hear. And I'll tell you, Mark, thank you for your time today. I know you've been in the States for over 20 years, but as you said, being from, I think you said London or England originally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's necessary because I just finished the 4-part Beckham series. So I actually can understand every word you're saying because I've had 4 hours of watching the Beckham Netflix documentary and I've been listening to the accent. So I don't even hear an accent anymore. Mark, thank you so much for joining the show today. Again, viewers out there, go to the cryptomerchant.com, grab yourself I like the Crypto Steel capsule. I think it's a great conversation piece. More importantly, it's actually protective of your crypto. Mark, thank you so much, guys, for watching another episode of the Shrimp Tank.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.